everybody, and welcome to MADPod episode 3. As always, I'm one of your only two hosts because there's only two of us, and if there's ever a third, one of us is getting fired, and the third person is here to replace us at the end of the episode. You've heard it here. That's how the podcast is going to end, and that's how I'm going to leave. I don't know what that ramble was, but I'm Mike, and hey, Dean, what's up, man?
Hello, everybody.
Welcome.
I'm just assuming if we do get a third person, you'll fire me and keep it called Mathas and Dean pod. Just
yeah. No, I'm gonna fire you. Listen. MADPod works. I can replace you with Dan at any time.
Oh no,
it's done. I'm like, all right. How are we gonna do this?
If I was replaced with Dan, I'd be okay with that. Games, video games.
Yeah. Well, welcome everybody to our monthly podcast about video games. 2021, as we were talking about off camera very, very briefly, was 2021's a dry year, man. I mean, it makes sense because 2020 was the year of the pandemic's biggest hits. So a lot of the dev studios got put back and delayed and all this other stuff. But you really don't know it until you're in the midst of it because it's been a scramble to find something to play.
Yes, it has. Let me kick things off actually by segueing from what you just said into, I've been playing Dark Chronicle from 2002 or 2003, I think, on the PlayStation 2. That's like, do you know that?
Dark Chronicle.
It's Dark Cloud 2 for you Americans.
Oh, okay. I was like, what game is that? Yeah, Dark Cloud. Oh, what a fucking mwah.
Did you play the first one?
First and the second.
Oh, exceptional games.
I out of the two of them, loved the first one the most, but like, I mean, I think that's a general consensus of most people because 2 was such a different game.
Yeah, but okay, so let me break this down a little bit. Dark Cloud is a Japanese role-playing game from Level 5, who are excellent JRPG developers, and it's basically the run-of-the-mill action RPG dungeon crawler. But the coolest part of that game is you build cities, you build these little villages, and when you go into these dungeons, you open these little balls, and humans pop out, and fence posts pop out, and light bulbs pop out, and you go back into this little hub world. You build. They give you requests like, I'd like to live near a lake, and you do. It's such a wonderful game, and Dark Chronicle just took that and made everything better, gave you like 7 new mechanics. It was absolutely insane. There's like, they built upon the fishing, they built upon the building, they let you invent things, they give you a camera. I'm enjoying it so much, and my biggest criticism is the difficulty is absolutely ridiculous at times. Having a lot
I remember
of fun.
that being a case in the first game though too, because of the breaking weapons and shit, and I remember all that.
Well, actually, I was thinking about that because I was playing Dark Cloud originally, and then I switched to Dark Chronicle because I wanted to show my girlfriend it. But whilst my third weapon broke on the first floor or whatever, I was like, I bet Mathas probably hates this game now.
Oh, I fucking hated it. Yeah, I hated it back then as a child back in 2002, which is now 20 fucking years ago. So when I was like 15. Like that I wanted to fucking hurt. I hated that shit. Breaking weapons infuriated me. So of course I hated it in Zelda when that came out. But yeah, the town building stuff was the stuff that really hooked me because it was such a simple way to get you invested in the NPCs when they're, PlayStation 2, especially around that era, wasn't capable of like the most mind-blowing like technological things, but that as a mechanic immediately had you hooked to these people because you were trying to make them happy, because there was obviously a score tied to it that you wanted to max out, but you got bonuses, and then you got to see the city that you built grow, and you just get the layout obviously by heart because you built it. So the town is just that, like as Dean said, like that the town building aspects were great about that game, and that's what I remember. I don't remember the combat being amazing, at least in the first one. So that's the one I remember the most.
Honestly, I think despite it being an action RPG, the combat is pretty comfortably probably the worst mechanic in the game. It's probably the part of the game that you least want to do, to be honest. But yeah, the city building stuff, the fact that in 2002, whenever the hell it was, that I can put a house next to a lake and the dude will be like, thank you for putting me next to a lake.
Yep.
So what? That's
crazy.
Like
oh wow, he knows. AI, amazing.
You pull out into this like big top-down city builder camera that you would expect, but what was so cool about it is I hit that select button and I'm plunged into it, and I can walk around and interact with everybody and level up, and it was just absolutely amazing. And so that's what I'm playing right now. I'm not actually playing anything new. I'm playing a game from like the PlayStation 2 era, but that's fine.
I think the thing that's going to be kind of a running theme for the episode is it's kind of games that aren't necessarily new, because I'll pick up from that. And talking about Zelda, I'm playing through Skyward Sword HD on Switch right now.
Oh, okay.
And that game it's tough, right? Because Skyward Sword really leaned on the motion gimmick when it came out, and there's no motion gimmick now. I'm playing with the Pro controller, not the Switch remotes. So combat is awkward as fuck in the HD version, because you're not pressing buttons to attack, you're swinging with the right joystick. So the right joystick is just him waggling around. So as I'm fighting these moglins or whatever they're called, it's spammy looking, because I'm just flicking the stick back and forth or up and down a lot. So Link with a stiff arm is just kind of, you can't see me, viewers, but I'm wagging, my arm is stiff as a board, and he just kind of goes waggles it back and forth as fast as he can, like a dummy. And while his whole body is motionless, it's just his arm moving like an insane person. And it's just like, and so it's like that for all mechanics involved with the motion in that game. So the bug net, whenever I'm trying to catch a bug, it's Link with his arms stuck in like cardboard out, and just the net is just spasming around until eventually it makes contact with the bug. I would say it's improved though over the Wii version, because the Wii version I didn't even get as far as I am so far in the Wii version. I did not like it. And the game looks crisp and beautiful. Like the art really carries, and there's there's still, I can't deny that there's still, at least with this Zelda, there's that little magic feeling that kind of comes along with a lot of Nintendo games for me, and that the world and the characters are endearing, and you kind of know what you're getting with the Zelda game anyway. So, and it's not it's an older Zelda game, so it's not this enormous open world with like a million places to go. You're kind of directed. Even when you have that overworld where you're flying around in your bird, it's not nearly as populated as like the water one, Wind Waker. Wind Waker had a lot more stuff to find. This one, not so much. It's really kind of just a way to get from point A to B with a few secrets in between. So it doesn't feel overwhelming, which has been kind of nice. And it's just been a relaxing journey, which I think I've enjoyed. It's just been like, every time I sit down to play for an hour or two, I know what I'm getting. It kind of just gives you this calm feeling, a little lighthearted adventure that really isn't going to challenge you or push you too hard. And it's beautiful to look at still. But in the grand scheme of things, if I was putting my critic cap, the combat still fucking sucks. And like all these reviews I'm reading that are like, this game's a 9 now. I'm like, what game are you playing? Like, you are waggling the joystick back and forth. Yeah, it's better than having used the Wii, but man, even today, I'm like, I'd rather press a button and watch Link swing a sword.
Well, yeah, I don't think... Well, when it came out, I didn't play it either, because the motion controls completely turned me off, and it's just... Motion controls in general are just something I'm not particularly interested in. But I had a question about Skyward Sword, actually. Having not played it, I'm curious what the dungeons are like. How far out... Have you touched them yet?
I've done like 2 dungeons now. Okay. I think I've done the first 2. They're like Zelda dungeons. They, you get in there and there's like rooms, and some of them have some puzzles, combat encounters, a mini boss, a main boss, and then you get what you get and you leave. They're Zelda dungeons.
Okay. The reason I ask is because Breath of the Wild, I know that came afterwards, of course, but they were decidedly not Zelda dungeons. They were a little bit different. So.
Oh no, yeah, these are like themed. The Earth dungeon, the Water dungeon. Okay, yeah, cool. You're getting your classic. It's your classic Zelda experience. It's really just the combat that really doesn't hold up at all, in my opinion. Of course, like I just don't think it carries anymore. But it doesn't stop me from enjoying it, which has been nice. Especially for me, which is like getting into a little personal stuff. It's just like I'm trying to learn how to play games for myself again, and not play with like the ever-present thought of create content out of this. So, and Zelda's been great for that, because it's not a game I would normally do a video on anyway, and it's a way for me to kind of be like, all right, I can enjoy this again.
Good.
But yeah, no, the combat still blows. It's not good. It's not a good time, but it's fine. Otherwise, everything else is pretty good.
Okay. Well, besides Zelda, then have you been playing anything else, or is that pretty much it?
No. I've been playing a few things. Did we talk about Batman last month? Arkham Asylum.
No.
So there's a couple things. I played through Arkham Asylum again, and I absolutely want to do a trilogy of Judge Mathis's on all of them. Arkham Asylum was such a joy to play through again. I played it on the PS5. It was just the PS4 like bundle pack. They had it on sale for $5. You got the first and the second game. So I was like, fine, I'll definitely check it out. So I hadn't played Arkham Asylum since the game launched back in 2009 or whatever it was. So it was just a joy to play through. That story is still a classic Batman story. The voice acting is great. The animation models, like the facial movements, are really stiff. It's like really 360 PS3 era where it's just a stuck face and their mouths just kind of move by themselves while they just stare at each other. There's no expression, but the voice acting carries it. The combat's still pretty fun. Arkham City is way smoother in the combat department, but it was fun. I don't know. It was just like a good 9 hours and a reminder of just like these games were just masterpieces for a reason and redefined superhero games from that point on.
I remember when the demo for that first one came out on Xbox 360, it would have been. And I played that thing like over and over and over again. It was great to have like an actual Batman game that played well. It's like amazing.
If these games didn't exist, we wouldn't have the Spider-Man games we have now.
Well, exactly. You're absolutely right about that.
And that's the other thing I did too. I 100%ed Miles Morales.
Hey.
I 100%ed the save file. And I'm not going to lie, I had a great time with that game too. It was I knew it was just more Spider-Man. It was just more Spider-Man with an overpowered power set. That's his ability to go invisible and then at the end just hit 2 buttons and explode and kill 900 people in like a 2-mile radius. It's broken. But I loved his swinging animations. I loved his like kind of more limber freestyle type like swinging animations and stuff. And swinging around in that game is just a joy. So
we've talked about Spider-Man before, right? And what we hope for Spider-Man 2. We have done that.
Yeah, and I mean, it looks like that's the way it's going to go, as in that general direction of like, I have a feeling we'll be bouncing back and forth between Peter and Miles and obviously Venom is about to pop out. Like it's just going to be, what is it? It's just Norman's kid. It's just Osborn.
Oh, well, actually, I know we kind of tout MADPod as a video gaming podcast, but we did say that we would maybe.
Yeah, we could talk about the Spider-Man trailer if that's what you're going.
That's where I'm going.
Yeah, it looked incredible. I was so excited to see the Goblin grenade. I was in obviously Alfred Molina at the end as Doc Ock coming up and being like, "Hello, Peter." It's just great. I now believe more than ever we're going to get some sort of cameo from Tobey Maguire and Garfield, but apparently too there have been rumors that Tobey's has been in negotiations for a proper Spider-Man 4 recently. Now, these are rumors. I've only read them online from a couple of like rumor mill sources. I don't know how trustworthy they can be, but it wouldn't surprise me if after this movie, Sony's like, bring them back. Like we can, because now it opens the door for Sony to go like, because after doing the Garfield versions of Spider-Man, going back to Tobey would have been an insult and weird and like awkward to be like, oh, we definitely failed. Now we have to go back. But doing this and open up the Spider-Verse in live action, now they can go back with a shrug and be like, everything's alive. Like, it doesn't matter. And that's, I think that's what we're going to get.
Wow, I hadn't even considered that, to be honest.
It just allows them to give themselves as many redos in as many different ways as they could possibly want.
That sounds amazing. Well, my thoughts are pretty similar to yours. I'm a little concerned about why Doctor Strange would be just giving a spell like that to a teenager. But
have you read the comic One More Day?
No, that's about Mary Jane and Peter, right? And their marriage.
Yeah, the whole idea between that, it took place after Civil War, and the whole idea behind that comic, and readers hated it, by the way, when it came out, is that he wanted everybody to forget who he was. His identity was ruining his life. It ruined everything. It got Aunt May shot, I think it was in the comic. And so he goes to Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange does it, but the reveal at the end is it wasn't Doctor Strange, it was Mephisto.
Oh,
and it was
yes. Yeah.
And that's like the big twist is like he basically made a deal with Mephisto. So there's in theories that it might be a Mephisto, or not necessarily Mephisto directly, but Mephisto influencing Doctor Strange through the Nether, through whatever portals, because he has seen and dealt with Dormammu. So we know those beings exist. We know those greater godlike beings that exist outside of space-time exist. There were hints about Mephisto in the WandaVision one, not a lot of them, just a couple, and they were very subtle. But in the trailer, we see like, you know, the devil Peter, and it's like, you know, like the sign. There's little tiny maybes, but it simply could be that Doctor Strange also is an egotistical prick, and he's always been like that. But I don't know. There's potential. But yeah, I don't know. Other than him being influenced in some way, I don't know what other reason he would want to do it.
Yeah. It would, because the thing to me is the whole concept of the multiverse. I don't want it to just come down to Doctor Strange having a goof with a teenager. That would seem a little like, maybe not contrived, but a little like cheap to me. So I'm hoping they're going to just like completely floor us when we go on December 9th or whatever the fuck it is, but I absolutely cannot wait for that film.
Yeah. Well, there's another interesting bit of the trailer. Because when he walks into Doctor Strange's house, it's full of snow. Yeah. And it's like frozen.
Hell.
And hell freezes over. The 7th layer of hell, I think it is ice, is frozen, which is, I think, where Mephisto technically lies. So if, again, it could be leaning in the, I mean, I hope they are. Because they've already gone crazy, man. The Eternals are coming. I think the Eternals are going to be introduction of the mutant gene, like proper introduction of the mutant gene. I think that's where the X-Men are going to come from, is the Eternals are going to plant the seed for mutants to show up now. I just want them to blow open the doors to everything. Give us like Mephisto and all that shit. Give us our mutants. Bring it together, baby. I want to see all of it.
Yeah, you may as well just throw everything at us now. Just go mental, because you've got all of this like magical and go ahead.
No, please go continue.
I was just gonna say you've got like this whole chest of magic, galactic bollocks that we haven't seen yet, and it seemed prior to Infinity War and Endgame they were going grounded for the most part and deliberate and let's build this up and lead to like one villain. Now it seems like they're just going to exponentially burst this into some sort of like multifaceted, tentacled, like shiny, like they're going to go from Thor Love and Thunder, which is just like pure comedy, it seems like, and now they're going to have like an actual R-rated MCU Deadpool film. It's like the MCU can basically be whatever the hell it wants at this point.
Because the multiverse is blown open, it doesn't fucking matter anymore, which I like. I'm super into that. What I think is going to happen is I think we are going to see another main villain, especially because they need something to come to team up against.
Kang, right?
I imagine it's going to be Kang for the first one, who's going to be properly introduced in the movies in Quantumania, from my understanding. But I think Kang is going to be very similar to like a Loki or something, where he's the main villain for a movie. But I think he's going to lead into, and my hope, and the way I think they're going to go, is the main mega villain, Doctor Doom. I think Doom is coming. I think that's like the big lead, is like this is the direction we're going, because Kang is directly related to Nathaniel Richards. Kang is a descendant of Reed Richards. He's a grandchild of that family line, and the what they gave in Loki matches up with what the comics are of him. So I think we're going to see Kang is going to kind of be the link to the Fantastic Four, which is going to be the door to Doom being the big bad over the course of movies, because Doctor Doom is fucking magic. He's a sorcerer, just like Doctor Strange. He's a super genius, and he's one of, if not the biggest villains in the comics to ever exist. And he's one of those ones who will work with the heroes when it suits him. You know, he's not a perfectly evil character. He's a very interesting and can be very deep character. And I really think that's what they're going to do. Once we see Fantastic Four, I think that's going to be the intro to be the one focused villain. And no other person could be a threat to a multiverse besides like Kang and Doom. Like, and Doom, I think, has been a threat to the multiverse in comics multiple times. I don't know. I think that this is all speculation on what little is sprinkled through the movies and series. but I think that's what we're going to get. Meanwhile, we're going to get crazy side stories and, you know, R-rated stuff and all that other stuff.
That sounds cool. Again, I hadn't really considered Doctor Doom. I know I would assume he's probably going to be in Fantastic Four, but the idea that it would be this I knew eventually he would be overarching, but maybe in like this soon, that would be cool. My theory was a little bit more basic than that, and a little bit more based upon the ending of Loki. I thought we were just going to get like different versions of Kang in every film. Like, here's I
hope we do.
The medieval, war-hungry Kang. Here's the super intelligent giant head Kang, or whatever the fuck you want to do, and you just go like completely crazy with it, and that would be very cool. But
I think that's right, though. I think we are going to have that in the individual superhero movies.
Okay.
That will eventually lead up to an Avengers style or new Avengers style team up to bring them down. I think in each individual one or side one, Kang is going to be there somewhere. I would not be surprised if we see him in Multiverse of Madness. Like, obviously, we know we're going to get him in Ant-Man. Maybe the Marvels, we might see him pop up in some way. Yeah, I think that'd be the smart way to go. Well, I hope that they do that.
I could be wrong, but I think I saw on Reddit that whilst Peter and Strange were doing that like ceremony, the spell, it looked like they were in Kang's like purple place. I don't know if
when the world gets destroyed, it seems like they're outside space and time, and there's that weird purple area again. Yeah. So I hope so. That would be sick. I'd be into it.
Is Spider-Man in Multiverse of Madness? I think I've read a rumor that he might like appear in it for a couple of scenes.
Yeah, he might, maybe. I haven't heard of that, but that'd be cool. I know it's Wanda and Strange are the main twos for sure, and I imagine we'll see White Vision at some point.
Oh, that's crazy. God, there's so much. Oh yeah, the last thing I wanted to say about that trailer. Maybe this proves that it's not Strange and it is in fact Mephisto. There's that scene when Strange and Spidey are on the train, and Strange
they're fighting.
They're fighting. Why are
100%
they fighting?
They're fighting. I don't know. That's interesting.
Andy doesn't have his cape. Why would he not have his cape? If it's Doctor Strange, that cape knows it's not Doctor Strange.
What if it's Doctor Strange from a different reality? What if it's a Doctor Strange trying to get Peter out of this reality? That was my first thought initially. I mean, that's kind of a pull out of my ass thought, but that was what if it's a different Strange?
So many ideas, so much potential.
Yeah. I know. That's why I love that they're just going full comic books, dude. I'm so happy they're just like not trying to keep it super serious and grounded and shit. And they're just like, fuck it. Let's just be the comics. Let's just do it. That's great.
Kevin Feige's got that creative license now, I think. He's done the phase 3 shit. He's done. He can do what he wants now.
Yeah, I mean, and it was amazing, right? So who cares? Yeah, and he has such a respect for the material, clearly.
Exactly.
Other than that, have you been playing any games?
Yes, I've been playing Battlefield 5.
I saw you uploaded a clip to your YouTube channel the other day.
And I'm wetting myself the entire time because that game is like, wow, so cinematic. Every fight feels like a straight out of like a war film. When you're down on the ground, you can continue to move your head around and your arms there, and when you look down, you're always in the game because you're the camera is on the body rather than you just being a floating head. So it feels very grounded, and it feels very not to sound like IGN or anything, but it makes you feel like a soldier. and so when I'm down on the ground and my vision goes all blurry and I'm hearing my friend in my headset say, "Dean, I'm coming," and then I kind of like look to my right, he's like coming over a grassy knoll with his gun, and a tank's coming behind him, and I look up in the sky and there's planes, and it's just like absolutely amazing. Yeah. Such a great.
Like reminds me a little bit of the Star Wars one, just because the same company, obviously, but the Star Wars Battlefield 2 or 3 or whatever it was.
Battlefront 2. I haven't played that actually. Have you played that?
The newest one? Yeah, I had it I played it for a little while. It's very similar where everything feels like hyper cinematic. I don't say what you will about that game if you don't like it or what have you because of its like loot box mechanics, which I totally understand. But like running like on Hoth in the trenches of the snow and looking up and seeing people in their fucking X-Wings and TIE fighters screaming overhead. And then you have like, you can see in the distance, some fucking red lightsaber fucking blocking shots. And you're like, oh God, I'm going to die. Yeah. Like they do a really good job at like shoving you into the whatever world they're trying to put you in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I would play that game again. That game's fun.
So Battlefield 5 feels like you're playing a movie.
That's cool.
Whereas Call of Duty, because I've been playing that as well, I've been playing Call of Duty Warzone, the Battle Royale mode. That's very fun, but that feels like I'm jumping into a video game to shoot men, whereas Battlefield feels like I'm jumping into a war to help men. And
what a sweet sentiment.
It's brilliant. The fact that the medic class is the most fun in the game is an achievement, in my opinion, and they've done such a great job with that game. I cannot wait for 2042. Yeah,
I am so excited for 2042. I cannot wait. I'll be playing that day one.
Hell yes.
I've been playing I got 2 other games on my list. I don't know how many more you got.
Okay.
But the other game I'm playing right now is what do you call it? Ghost of Tsushima for PS5. So Ghost of Tsushima, I am so mixed on because the combat is immaculate. It's incredible. I love the combat. The stealth is super fun. It's really like what Assassin's Creed should be in terms of its combat and its gorgeous presentation. However, the world is so fucking boring. It's gorgeous. It's like beautiful to look at, but it is so empty. It is so devoid of anything worthwhile to go off and do. It really serves as just a hub to get from mission to mission with no life in it. The very few things that pop up, like I've already seen repeated a million times. I'm not even halfway through the game. The person on the road whose hands are tied, the little bundle of camps of enemies fighting wildlife, a patrol of Mongols coming down the road. Like I've seen and done all of it a million times. It's so boring. I fast travel in that game all the time because it's just not enjoyable to wander the world. Meanwhile, like I still boot up Red Dead to this day and wander the world because it's such a thriving, enjoyable place to kind of just exist in for an hour or so.
Yeah.
And I wish the Ghost of Tsushima had more in it for me to like explore and enjoy, because say what you will about Assassin's Creed, but the exploration in Assassin's Creed always gives something. There's always something to discover and see and find, hidden gear for your character or a cool little side story, where really Ghost of Tsushima is just getting you to your next big fight. And that's all, which is fine. I adore doing the fights. I feel like a superhero during the fights, but when they're over, I'm like, and now I have nothing to do.
Yeah, I really enjoyed Ghost of Tsushima, but I think I've only played maybe 25% of the main story, simply because I burned myself out on the side stories, and I was like you.
That's what I was doing.
I fast traveled everywhere, and to your point about Red Dead 2, I forgot there was fast travel. I just enjoy horse riding so much, and those random, you say what you want about like the depth of interactions with the NPCs, but there are actual NPCs all the time, and you can say hello to them, and for the most part there are different responses pretty much all the time. And
yeah,
those little moments really make a journey like enjoyable, and seeing
1,000%
shooting a deer on your way there or whatever the hell. And
the thing is about Red Dead 2 that each AI is also doing something, and they have a particular, like I've done a ton of research on the AI for RDR2 for the video that I'll never do, that I say I'm always going to do, but I read a lot about it because I'm so interested in it. And each AI is not only programmed with has a task that they're attempting to accomplish no matter what, and you can follow them wherever they're going to go. But each one has a unique personality. If you pull a gun on one of them, they're not going to react the same way as the next person, or the next person. They each have, they'll run away. Some might pull a gun on you. Some might just give you money. And they're coded that way, somewhat dynamically for that purpose, like you said, where each interaction might even just be a little different than the last, but it lends this reality to these characters, where in Ghost of Tsushima, the only encounters on the road are combat encounters. Everything on the road leads to a combat encounter. There's no, and I get it, you're in an island taken over by Mongols, but there's even the villages with NPCs that are safe are like dead. There's nobody around. There's just nothing to do. And that for me, that's kind of a bummer because the world is beautiful and it'd be really cool to wander around this world. And, you know, you have your legend grows as you level up and stuff, but you don't really, that's not reflected in the world. Where in Red Dead, you go into a town and you have a terrible, you know, reputation. Terrible enough where if you walk into a bar, the piano dude stops playing music and just watches you because nobody trusts you. Like, that's the kind of cool shit that can happen if you take certain actions where they make, in Ghost of Tsushima early on, they make a huge like deal about being honorable and like don't stab people in the back and like that. When I did my reading though, the only thing that affects is the weather. If you are a sneaky, stealthy dude and dishonorable, it's going to rain and thunderstorm more often. And if you're not and you're honorable, it stays sunny more often.
I wondered why it rains all the fucking time in my world.
It's because you were a sneaky bastard. You were dishonorable.
I thought that as well. And my other friend is playing it and he thought the same thing. Like, they made such a big deal of be an honorable man or be a dishonorable man. And it makes me think, I wonder if they did have a sort of system in there that they've stripped away because they couldn't get it to work, or they had deadlines, or they had to focus on other things, or I wonder if
it does feel like that.
I wonder if it is just them being heavy-handed with the narrative of is it Jin or
Jin.
Yeah. I'm hoping, to be honest, it's the fact that they stripped it out, and in Ghost of Tsushima 2 we'll get that system put back in, but that's my other question, actually, because neither of us completed the main story, so I'm not sure how it ends. How can there be a sequel to an island that gets overrun by the Mongols? Yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be cool.
The only thing you can think of is like, I mean, obviously, I'm hoping to play it to the end because don't get the wrong idea. The combat is strong enough to carry it most of the way. Like, I go back and I'll play like an hour or two every few days just because I'm getting itched to have the combat experience because the combat is so incredible. If they do, they could just a different story, a different place, a different world. I mean, they have their base engine now at the very least, or whatever it is they're going to use for it. And it runs 60 frames a second on the PS5. It's fucking so smooth and it's beautiful to look at. I have no idea what they could do. If this is their only one, that's going to be kind of a bummer because it feels like they could do so much more with this, with what they have here.
And I don't think it's been officially announced, but I think they're Hem Hulst basically said like it's looking good for Tsushima 2. Somebody said that, I'm pretty sure. Somebody high up.
I mean, that wouldn't surprise me. I imagine the game sold like hotcakes, man.
Yeah, and in Japan as well, they welcomed that with open arms. Like a Western developer making a Japanese-centric game, and they absolutely loved it. It's like that's a great like bridge to like merge between the two parts of the world. It's great.
Yeah, I agree. I really hope. Yeah, again, I hope we get a second. I hope we get a sequel because again, they can expand so much on what's there, and obviously the market would eat it up. So,
do you play on normal?
No, hard.
Yes,
I swap to lethal occasionally, because I'm trying to hone my skills so I can play lethal. But they're just like the huge combat encounters with like 10 to 15 dudes. Lethals, my brain can't keep up with just. I take a hit and you're dead in lethal. Basically, is how it works. But I want to play on lethal really badly. Hard is I have no issue with. Like it's not difficult, but it's more difficult than normal.
Yeah. I agree with that. I tried lethal as well. The thing with hard is it demands that you take care and attention with your blocks. Normal, it's basically just like you don't have to block. Don't worry about it. Yeah. And what's the point of that? It's supposed to be like life or death. I want to.
I agree.
I want to stab these guys twice and kill them, or them stab me twice and kill me. That's the way it should work with swords. I don't want to be whacking people with nerf weapons for 7 hours.
Yeah, exactly. Which is why lethal has a draw to me so much because I'm like I want that lethality on both ends really bad. So, but I hope we see a sequel. I got one. What about you? Is there anything else you're playing right now?
FIFA 22.
Not surprising. Wow. Not surprising. It's so confusing because every time a FIFA game comes out, I just see everybody shit on it and shit on EA, then everybody still plays it.
Oh yeah, it's bad. It's awful. EA rubbish. I'm enjoying it.
Exactly. Not surprising.
There's no other football game. There's Pro Evolution Soccer by Konami, but that's absolutely dreadful. And so FIFA is all I've got, and FIFA is all I will have forever.
There's no such thing as a monopoly.
But other than that, I'm struggling to think of anything else that I've played. I tried to get back into Phoenix Wright, but I don't think now is the right time for a game like that for my brain.
Yeah, you really got to be in a mood for a graphic novel like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's yeah, for sure. A virtual novel rather. It's fun though. I played the first few Phoenix Wrights.
Actually, going off of that then, unless you have another game to talk about.
I just got what I'm playing on stream right now.
Okay, we'll go ahead.
Do we want to knock that out first?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. I mean, yeah, the only thing I'm playing otherwise right now is I started my very first Pokemon Nuzlocke run.
Oh, yes.
For Pokemon Shield. So I've been itching again, 2021, dry year for games. And I've been watching some other people do some Nuzlocke stuff. Nuzlocke has always interested me because it adds a element of difficulty that Pokemon just doesn't have. And so the rules of Nuzlocke, if you're not familiar, are pretty straightforward. You get to basically the first Pokemon that you encounter on any new area or route, you must catch. So, when you get one per area, you do not get to catch any more than one. If a Pokemon of yours faints in battle, it is dead. You must put it in a box, and then you're technically supposed to release it, but you don't necessarily just put it in a graveyard box and kind of just leave it. It's no longer part of the run. If all of your Pokemon die in a battle, it's game over. You have to reset, delete the save file, start over again, and then that's when you can continue. You cannot trade with other players. You cannot interact with other players. The only trades are allowed are NPC trades, and only if the Pokemon that they want is one that you caught according to the rule set. You can't go out and like catch one just to trade. And in that it adds that difficulty where your team is semi not your choice. Like you don't get to put together the team you want. You kind of just stuck with what you get. But and the last rule is, which is essential, you have to nickname every Pokemon you catch to further that relationship that you have with them. And it's what's great about it is it turns Pokemon into this kind of storyline generator where you really get attached to these characters and they, when they die, it fucking sucks. Like I've lost 2 so far in my run. I've only completed 1 gym. I lost my starter in an hour. The game opened. I picked Grookey. I ran into Skwovet. I caught Skwovet for my first Pokemon. Then I was grinding a little to get Skwovet up. We ran into something called a Blip Bug. And the Blip Bug used something called Struggle Bug, which was super effective on my Grookey. One-shotted my Grookey and killed him. Skwovet showed up. He almost killed my Skwovet too, but I caught him before he did. And since he eliminated half my party and literally killed half my party, I named him Thanos. And so like that, so like that, and like that, but therein lies like some of the stories. Like now Thanos has been with me from the very beginning. Like this, like he killed George before he even had a chance to get attached to me. But now I have Thanos and my Skwovet named Sinvicta because Sinvicta hates Skwovet apparently. So I named them. So I got Sinvicta as my Skwovet, Thanos as my secondary, and they're still with me. They're still alive. They're almost at level 30. You know, they've evolved a couple times, and it creates these amazing stories. And I caught a Growlithe that I was gonna name like Big Cliff after Clifford the big red dog, and chat was like, no, combine them, Bifford. So Bifford became Growlithe, and he was with me forever, and he single-handedly carried the first gym. He almost died, barely survived, but he fucking carried it. We won. I go out, we heal, we go into the woods. I run into a Wobbuffet like accidentally. Oh, no. The Wobbuffet, I was fighting him. I was like, we'll just grind Wobbuffet. So Bifford's out. It's full health. I use a move, Fire Wheel. Wobbuffet takes it. Then Wobbuffet uses Counter, which does double the damage back at you. I did not know that. And he just one-shot my Bifford and I had just played with Bifford. Like you can play with your Pokemon in this one. So you like to throw a ball. I played with them. I was like so happy. He carried the gym. Immediately dead. He dead due to just a Wobbuffet basically wobbling back and whacking him in the face. So Bifford is in the graveyard now. And like Bifford will, he carried up to that gym and then he lost his life. But after he died, I ran into my next encounter was a Joltik. The only Joltik I had ever run into, and it was a shiny. And so I caught a shiny Joltik. And so he kind of joined the team and nicknamed him Electro because he looks like Electro from Spider-Man. And so, yeah, that's like the idea is like it adds this element of lethality to it, which creates these stories. And you really like when you have that kind of permanent difficulty, it really helps Pokemon's battle system shine, because there's a lot of depth into its system that is ultimately ignored because you can just smash A on everything and eventually everything's going to fall over. But when you can't risk your Pokemon dying, all of a sudden you have to take into account multi-types. Each Pokemon has a personality type, which gives them special bonuses to their stats. So if I catch like the first Pokemon I catch is like a timid Pokemon, that means it's going to have some shit stats, and that can really affect its usefulness and its over the longevity of the run. And but then you have like surprise catches that are just like garbage catches in the beginning, but become like your hero at the end of like the run. They just become some of your best Pokemon. So yeah, that's been my Nuzlocke. I'm like 8 or 9 hours into it now. I'm going to be streaming some more of it later today for sure. And it's definitely injected life into the series that I didn't know. I didn't know something like this could do. And it makes me excited for Koromon, which I think I talked about on stream. But it's a game that's it's basically Pokemon, right? Like it's the idea is you're catching monsters, you're battling them in this JRPG turn-based system. It's an SNES pixelated look, but they built into it 3 separate difficulties. Your normal difficulty, which is your typical Pokemon, things faint, you go heal them. Hard difficulty, which means your Koromon, as they're called, die permanently, but or extreme difficulty, where they die permanently and they implement the 1 catch per zone rule, just based onto the game. So
Koromon, that's next year, right?
2022. Yeah, okay. I think it's its official release. But I mean, full transparency as well, I'm gonna be working with them soon. But I think this month, September, I got something coming up with them. But they got this cool the whole thing where they got where they built that difficulty in. I'd love to see Pokemon do the same thing, because the Nuzlocke rules really add something. It's really fun.
That's never going to happen.
No, of course not. But I would love to see it happen.
The way you've described that honestly sounds like such fun. Like to have actual tension in Pokemon, and for you to actually care about these things because they're finite and they could go, and yeah, that sounds great. That makes me want to play Sword and Shield again.
Yeah, man, it's so freaking fun. The rule, and you can crank up the rules if you want. There are a lot of optional rules you can put on, like you can't switch mid battle unless the enemy Pokemon dies first. Like you can only switch when they switch. No using items to heal in mid battle. Like you have to just play nearly perfectly.
That's optional.
There's all kinds of ways you.
Is that optional? Not
yeah,
healing.
Those are technically optional, so you don't have to add those, but these are like rules you can add if you're like a real good Pokemon player and you understand like every Pokemon in and out. There's like type restrictions, like I'll be a water type trainer, so I'm only gonna catch water Pokemon.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. And this, to go back to your point about it making like the depth more important. Moves like Tail Whip and Leer, they suddenly become quite valuable, right? I would imagine, because do
become much more valuable, because there are battles you're going to go into where you need to know what you want to do to set up. So you're going to all right, I'm going to open with this Pokemon who's going to Tail Whip twice and Growl once. We're going to swap over to this one who, when they come out, they have an automatic debuff that they do because they have a passive ability, and then they should be debuffed enough to get one shot by this shot. Like you can really build these theory crafting kind of matchups as you go through it, which is just super, super fun. Plus, it has a thing that Monster Hunter Stories doesn't have, shinies. Like it just has shinies. And I think Monster Hunter Stories is a better combat system, bar none. I think it's a far superior combat system, but I really wish like Monster Hunter Stories had the ability to hatch like alternately colored monsters.
I agree.
It's such a simple, stupid addition, but knowing that you can run into a shiny at any given point is really cool. And so when it happens, you're like, that's awesome.
I think we talked about that last time, and it's such a surprise that they don't have that.
Yeah, it's very bizarre. I don't know why they didn't go that route. They should have.
They have built-in variants already in the Monster Hunter series. You have like Blue Rathalos, for example, or Pink Rathian. Like, you could go crazy with that shit. They
do have like a couple different like blue Kuklus or whatever they were called, but they're not shinies. They're just normal monsters in a different area.
So it's a Yian Kutku, not a Yian Garuga.
Yep. Okay, yeah. So there's both. There's a red one and a blue one, I think, and like, but they're both. You can regularly encounter both. They're not rare.
Okay, so because the Yian Garuga is technically different, but it's the same model.
Maybe that's what I'm trying to. I don't remember exactly, but it's still a shame. I like just give us alternate colors, man. Just give us. It's not hard. Just give us alternate colors, and then I can immediately have me harder than before because now I'm gonna hunt for those like goofy colored things that I want. You know? Yeah.
Maybe Star Wars 3. You'll get your green.
I hope so. That'd be cool. That'd be super cool. I hope they get to do a Stories 3 because Stories 2 was great. All right, that's it for me, man. Do you have anything else?
No, I don't actually.
All right. Well,
I think that's everything I've been playing.
Yeah, same here. I'm not playing anything else. And then my time otherwise has just been on. We're working on Judge Mathis right now, a top 5 video. I'm very excited for that. Like, this is going to be, I know it's like a top 5 video, but this is like a lot of effort went into this particular top 5 video for reasons I think will pay off in probably like 3 videos total. This one more, and then 2 more after it. We have like a story arc we're starting kind of in a weird way. I'm really excited to dive into it because it's going to create a character that I can bounce off of a lot more. And I don't want to spoil it more than that.
Well, it's going to be so cool. I've actually got the project open right now as we're recording this, but as soon as we finish, I'm going to jump back right into that and try and get that out as soon as possible for you guys. And speaking of you guys, I actually went onto the community tab of the Mathas channel and asked you guys if there's anything that you guys would like to hear me and Mathas talk about. And one question that immediately caught my eye was, what about games you wish you discovered when they were first released? I'm talking decades back to young Mathas and young Dean.
Oh man, games I had jumped on when they had first released. No,
games that you wish you had played.
Wished I had played on when first released. That's easy then for me. I don't know about you though.
Okay. No, right now I can't actually think of any, so I'll let you go first.
Baldur's Gate. I wish I had jumped onto that series at launch because I didn't discover the joy of multiple ending RPGs and player influence until like KOTOR. Like that was like the first one that like showed me, because I was a JRPG boy all growing up, and there's very rarely more than like 2 endings to anything, a good and a bad. And if I had discovered something like Baldur's Gate when it came out, I think that would have blown my mind and completely changed the way my tastes in video games would have been, because once I got a taste for that player directed type of experience, it was hard for me to go back to anything else. It was very hard for me to go back to like JRPGs because it no longer felt like I was directing the story. It felt more like I was being guided through a story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a fantastic answer. And I think that's also my answer. I'm nicking it. That's mine now.
Okay. How dare you, sir?
I was probably 12 when I played it for the first time. And that would have been like 2006, 2007, 2008.
Oh,
maybe.
Yeah.
It's just amazing. I remember spending hours and hours making character after character with the character builder at the start, and I didn't even know what system it was. I didn't even know really that it was D&D, to be honest, when I played.
It wasn't really a real system yet. It was a mix. It was between it was like a 2.5 because it was in between second and third. So they had some third edition rules, but not all. So a lot of it was still second edition rules.
I would have been. When did Baldur's Gate come out? Like 2000.
Baldur's Gate, like 98, 96.
That I thought it was like 99.
Baldur's Gate 1 release date. Let's see. 98.
98. Wow. Okay, I would have been 4 years old, so definitely too young to understand that game. But that is definitely the one that I would have loved to have jumped onto, because when Dragon Age came out on the 360. Which is basically
what a great game.
Yeah, it's basically Baldur's Gate in 3D.
It's definitely a love letter to those games.
Yeah, I absolutely loved it. And so Baldur's Gate definitely would have been my choice as well. I'm trying to think if there's any other. I'm sure there are tons, but none of them are coming to mind right now. Maybe Castlevania, because that for some reason has a big old like wedge in my heart for some reason. I really love Castlevania, but that would have been like 80. God, I was not even a little chunk of sperm in my dad's bollock that yet, Mike.
Castlevania. Let me see. Castlevania 1 release release date. 86, the year of my birth.
Oh.
That's when I was born, 1986. Because I remember, so Simon's Quest I got, that came out in 87. But I got it way after it was released, like 5 or 6 years. I think I was like 6 or 7. I was in kindergarten. And we had a mother-son dance. And back then, like they had like little games you could play. And then depending on how, like if you won or not, like you could go pick a prize off of the table. And I remember I won that particular one, and there was a bunch of things on there. There was like one of those things where like you pour like a mold into a skull and you can make your own like toys and stuff. But Simon's Quest was on there, and I immediately grabbed that. I was like, yep, I want that, because I had an NES. I didn't have an SNES at that point. And I was like, yep, got that. And that's what I remember getting it. And I played the shit out of that game, like relentlessly. That's weird side story.
Well, firstly, that's cool that your kindergarten gave you a video game.
I wish very weird.
That's so cool.
It was very, very weird. Private school, baby. Way too much money.
Did you, as a kid, were you, I guess because you played it over and over again, were you completely blown away by it? Did it annoy you? Did it, like the pop-up box, did it bug you?
I don't, see, here's the thing. Like the game did not blow me away. Back then, I couldn't really be blown away. I was too young to understand like what was going on. I just remember it being extremely hard and not doing, like, getting far and just getting stuck a lot. But I played it a bunch because I just enjoyed playing it because I was too young to understand otherwise. I'd say games didn't start blowing me away, quote unquote, until N64 PS1. Once they became 3D, my mind was like, the possibilities are endless.
Yeah. And
from then on, like every generation blew me away up until like, I think the 360 PS3 generation was the last generation to like wow me. Everything else has been like expected in a way. Like I know the PS5 looks incredible. It looks photo, but that's just a logical next step from where we were. And no longer am I like, holy shit, things look amazing, because now I'm just like, okay, we're at the point where things look real. Please start working on the AI.
Yes.
Please start working on other things than the game looking as like an actual real life place. Cause like, I don't care anymore if it looks like the sun is coming through the window and refracting onto my floor perfectly. Just give me characters in real AI. That's all I want.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, actually, to go off of that, before we go into this other question that I've got.
My bad. We're ranting and side tangenting.
That's totally fine. Sony, I believe, based on a rumor that I read, it was a couple of months ago now, I think Sony are like really driving at this AI like revolution. I think they have like a team dedicated to like working on AI built for the PlayStation 5. We might have talked about this already. This is sounding familiar to me, but I mean, if we got like actual next gen AI in some like PlayStation 5 games, like, I don't know, the next Naughty Dog game or Ghost of Tsushima 2 or whatever.
Right.
Wow. That would be amazing.
Yeah. Give me like, give me the Red Dead level of AI in every game at the very least. Like, I want that to be the new standard because it's just so good. But it's the reason I always get pulled back to like chunky, ugly games like RimWorld or Caves of Cud, or, you know, how I'm chomping at the bit for Dwarf Fortress to hit Steam, because like those games are ugly as sin, but what's under the hood is mind blowing. It's nuts what's actually happening, and like the systems at play and the AI at play. It's just that they traded their time for, instead of looking good, making it just this deep game for a more niche audience. And I want to see those two worlds merge, because imagine like what we could be looking at with like games like that, because it would be so cool.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. Well,
all right, what's the next question?
The next question is from Darby. Oh, that question was from Ears 726, by the way, just so I've said it. This is from Darby, and he says, have you taken a look at 12 minutes?
Not yet. Have you?
No, my brother has.
Cool, next question. I'm just kidding. No, I know what it is. I don't want to speak too much on it because I just haven't played it. I know it's like a time loop, basically, and you kind of have to redo the same day over and over, the same 12 minutes over and over. But beyond that, I know very little. It is a game I'm interested in, though, but that's as far as it's gotten.
Yeah. I've read online that there are really ridiculous twists.
Cool. Yeah, I've heard great things.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, it's got Willem Dafoe in it, and I absolutely love Willem Dafoe.
Okay, well, that's a point for wanting me to play it even more, for sure.
Yeah, it's fantastic. But I mean, it's a fair question to ask. Unfortunately, neither of us played it.
Yep.
But that's definitely on my radar.
Yeah, mine too.
And with that,
all right, any others?
I mean, some people want to know the length of our tongues. Some people want us to say their names slowly. Someone's wondering if we're homosexual for each other because our tongues are wrapped around in such sensual style.
Obviously.
No, I think that's it for the questions for this month.
All right, cool. Well, that'll wrap up the podcast then for the month. Thank you guys so much for listening, and Dean, as always, thanks for being a part of this fun little project we got going on.
Oh, you're very welcome.
You will see on the channel more Dean, as we've talked about before. And more scripted, structured videos for me. The next one for me will be that top 5. What's your next video? Is it another Chernobylite video? Is it going to be, what do we got coming up from you, Dean?
Oh, there's a video. Oh, what's the name of the bloody game? It's that sing-song one.
What?
You sing
sing-song one.
So you sing a note, and the longer you hold it, and the higher you go, the like a platform comes out, and then you platform over your singing, and that would be very fun. I mean, I'm a singer, so it just makes sense for me to play that.
Yeah, that sounds neat.
But I'm enjoying Chernobylite. If we can just touch on that really quickly,
please.
I think I'm a little disappointed with the English voiceover. I mean, I know the Russian voiceover is what you would want because it's authentic, but because I'm recording it, it makes sense to put it in English. And the fact that Igor's voice is like this really strange, gentrified, like English guy when everybody else
I don't understand why they couldn't give them Russian accents at least. Like, why are they from the UK? I don't understand. Igor, good to see you, old chap. It's like, all right, bud.
As I'm playing it more and more, though, I'm starting to see like the what would you say? I'm starting to see the seams a little bit, and
certainly, yeah.
I try and shoot through little gaps in like fences, and the bullet just hits like this invisible wall, and it's like, such a shame. And
that's that AA budget, baby.
Yeah, I mean, they can only go so far with the realism, but the world, obviously, I'm intrigued with Chernobyl enough as it is. I
guess it's not that long of a game either, like 10-ish hours. So
is that right? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that actually incentivizes me to play it more, to be honest with you. Simply because I'm a little disappointed in it. I'm pretty positive on it overall, but
same.
I don't think I would keep playing it if it was this super long, like sprawling story. But
it's pretty contained, I'm told.
Okay.
So I mean, it makes me itch. Like, it's really fun. It gives me this War of Mine vibe, and it makes me really excited to see what Stalker 2 is going to be like.
Oh man, oh baby,
I know. Which means I got to get through the next 2 Stalkers still. I got to get Call of Pripyat and the other one, which I can't remember the name of. But apparently they just get better and better. And at the very least, like there's this. I think it's the 3rd one everybody says is the favorite, but we'll see. Is that it? Is that everything? Is
it called like Return to Russia?
God, let's find out. Stalker games. Call of Pripyat and Clear Skies. Clear Skies.
Clear Skies, okay.
That's right. I think Call of Pripyat is the favorite. I think Clear Skies is like, people don't hate it, but they're not in love with it.
Okay.
I'm excited to get through them. I mean, Stalker 1 was really, really fun, and it was nice to play it. So
hell yeah.
Good times. Well, I think that'll wrap it for us, everybody. We will return next month with some more exciting gaming news. Maybe September will be a wild month for games. Maybe it'll be even more boring, but as the months go on, the holiday season is getting that much closer. I cannot believe it's September already, man. Like, we're like 2 to 3 months out, so we're about to get hit with at least a bunch of new games soon.
I had that thought today. I looked at the little calendar in the bottom right. I was like, "How is it the 9th month? What the fuck? I can't." I know
that's how I feel, man. Because I've been out in Texas now for 6 months.
That's crazy to me.
I feel like I've been here for 6 days. It's wild.
Hell. Yes.
But thank you guys so much for listening. We love you, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.